Good Saturday, everyone. Welcome to Garden State Weather Premium on YouTube and on Twitter at Garden State WEA. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith with the National Satellite, the National Meteorology for this Saturday, the 22nd of October, 2022. Well, a lot of interesting things here on the water vapor channel. Probably do shortwave first. Okay, so we have two flows here. We have our southern branch of the jet stream and our northern branch of the jet stream here lifting away. And in between these two, we have a cutoff flow off the Baja of California. We also have a hurricane here south of Florida, south of Mexico, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Wind gust out ahead of these two features, these two jet structures here. It's leading to an increase in cloud cover and some wind gust as well going on. Rain and snow now coming into the Intermountain West and the West Coast and the Aleutian Islands here via the new storm system coming in from the northern branch. And meanwhile, we have a southern branch low, which is beginning to show cutoff features here off the coast of Florida and Florida this morning. And the wind flow aloft is all out of the southwest. And so these two features will kind of like merge in a way, so to speak, and this will lift north and northeastward away from the coastal waters, but there could be some increasing cloud cover and precipitation tomorrow afternoon through Monday morning, right, especially right along the coast of New Jersey into the New York City and Hudson Valley, Connecticut region. It's really not that late in the season, but we do have this tropical wave now, non-tropical low pressure system well east of Bermuda. Limited shower activity, although environmental conditions could still acquire some subtropical or tropical characteristics in the next week as it moves west at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. By the middle part of next week, some further development appears unlikely while the system moves northwest over cooler water in the northwestern Atlantic and encounters strong upper-level winds. So some strengthening of this system over the next 48 hours is about 10%, and over the next 5 days it's pretty low at about 20%. All eyes here are on Hurricane Rosalind, and we'll get into that right now. Rosalind is forecast to be near or at major hurricane strength when it passes near and makes landfall along the west coast of Mexico during tonight and Sunday, accompanied by damaging winds, dangerous storm surge. So obviously preparations in this area should be completed at this time. Heavy rainfall could lead to flash flooding, possible landslides in areas of rugged terrain over coastal southwestern and western central Mexico. The public advisory as of 9 a.m., it's becoming a Category 4 storm as it turns north-northwest, forecast to reach the coast of west central Mexico today, on Sunday actually. Right now it's about 150 miles southwest of Manzanillo, about 170 miles south-southwest of Cabo Corrientes, Mexico. Sustained winds now this strong, 130 miles an hour, and the present movement to the west, northwest actually at about 8 miles per hour. Minimum central pressure 28.06 inches. So hurricane warnings in effect now for Playa Perula and El Rablito, Las Islas Marias. Hurricane watch in effect north of El Rablito to Mazatlan, and south of Playa Perula to Manzanillo, and north of these areas as well. Let's see, I'll show you graphics. Let's show you the arrival time of the winds. Well, first we'll do the wind speed probabilities here so you can see it's going to be strongest in its core here as it passes over these areas. And the arrival time of winds obviously starting this afternoon right along the coast and moving inland by tonight and on Sunday as well. Right now we do have a Hurricane Hunter plane flying down. This is a unknown. We're the Air Force actually, mission number 2 into Rosalind. This is en route right now. They're not there into the eye of the storm yet, and we'll be getting further data from these areas in the drop zones during the next hour or so. This is the infrared channel here, GO17. Infrared channel 13, GO17, brightness, temperature. It's a very strong, compact hurricane here, Rosalind, moving to the west-northwest and wobbling a little bit. It's got very good outflow and very little shear around this area, so this is going to intensify before it makes landfall tonight and tomorrow morning. This combines all the latest model tracks of Hurricane Rosalind here as it makes its way towards Mexico's coastline tonight and tomorrow morning, passes right through, probably weakens into a subtropical storm, and then eventually some of this moisture is going to be drawn into the southern branch of the jet stream here through Texas. But it's too early to say the impacts that this will bring with our convolution of jet stream structure here in the United States at this time. And the latest hazards here, we're calling for red flag warnings here across Springfield and Wichita Falls here, also across the Central Plains in the United States here. All these are red flag warnings or fire weather warnings. And if we go here, that's high wind warnings here in the northern plains, basically from Rattlesnake Range County, including the Green Mountains and Rattlesnake Ranch, and East Sweetwater County here. In these areas here in the Midwest here, and of course we have winter storm watches or winter storm details here across this portion of the country as we're expecting more wintry weather. And we'll take a look at the Doppler radar in just a moment. National temperatures this morning are basically running in the 30s across the Cascades and in the Intermountain West here, 40s and 50s across the northern high plains, 40s, 50s, and 60s across the central and southeastern United States. Some warmer air getting into the Great Lakes as well right now with temperatures in the upper 50s. In the New Jersey, New York City metropolitan area, northern New England, temperatures are in the upper 40s and lower 50s. And down south too, across the Appalachian Mountains here and down into Florida where temperatures are in the 60s and mid 70s, so not too bad. Wind chills this morning, obviously the coldest air is locked up in Canada along our polar boundary here from Hudson's Bay all the way into the Aleutian Islands here, basically, in Cascades, the Washington Bitterroots here, also into the upper Midwest and the mountains here in Colorado. But other than that, it's pretty benign. Take a look at the wind and mean sea level pressure here. Yeah, lots of low pressure moving into the west coast of the United States and high pressure across the central United States. And that's going to all give way. Let's take a look at the cloud cover. There's a little bit more cloud cover now as compared to this time yesterday, especially across the northern plains, into the northern western coast here, into portions of northern Colorado, and also into portions of California and offshore with that low. Lots of cloud cover off of the southeastern coast as well. Clear skies overhead in New Jersey right now, and that's going to change as we head into tomorrow morning, and then eventually some precipitation. We'll get into that in just a moment. 24-hour temperature changes here. Well, it's warming up across areas that were very cold over the last week, so that's good news. And that means that any precipitation that comes is going to be in the form of rain. But meanwhile, here in Canada and across the upper Midwest and especially the Northwest territories here of the western United States, temperatures have cooled down a few degrees in spots here. In fact, about 10, 15 degrees in spots across portions of Montana over the last 24 hours. And right now under sunny skies here at the Weather Center at 11 a.m. this morning on this Saturday, it's 58 and sunny at 60 in New Brunswick at the ROCKIES Meteorology Program. Thank you very much for that. And the winds are out of the west-southwest at about 3 to 6 miles per hour. This is a new study that Dave Robinson from the New Jersey Rutgers University Meteorology Program. He's our climatologist here in the state of New Jersey. And he's done a comparison of the 1981 to 2010 and 1991 to 2020 temperature normals. And the 1991 to 2020 is compared for each month in the red here. And as you can see, there is definitely a slight uptick here in the months of January. Also slightly in the months of May and June, slight in July, August, really September, October, and December. So this cannot be ignored. Let's go into the current temperatures right now in the New Jersey, New York City metropolitan area. They're basically in the low upper 50s to low 60s, 61 in Jersey City, 58 in in Lyndhurst. Now, was clear this morning with light winds, so we did have some radiational cooling. Wolpack up below 29, 26 here. Wolpack, Sandyston at 29, Wolpack at 26 in the valley. Basking Ridge at 28, a couple of numbers here. Pequest at 29. Temperatures in northeastern New Jersey and the shorelines remained in the 40s. Predominantly upper 30s to lower 40s across the region. So yeah, over the interior, still some freezing pockets here this morning. Stewartsville also at about 29 degrees. Once again, the current temperatures right now in the upper 50s to low and mid 60s. Visible satellite, nothing but clear skies over the area. The entire forecast area, actually. It's beautiful. And the water vapor channel, it shows it. Gorgeous. Under that dome of high pressure, winds are light, about 5 miles an hour or less, and there's really not a lot of wind gust out there either, making this an absolutely gorgeous day. But I have a caveat here, and that caveat is allergies and also viruses as well. We'll get into that in a moment. Ragweed and leaf mold is probably going to be your highest today, even though they're on the relatively low side because there's not a lot of wind. Over the next 5 days, well, that includes today at 1.7, little lower tomorrow, and we creep up a little bit again. But this is very disconcerting actually, because it doesn't really tell you the whole news story. First of all, there is a unanimous vote on Thursday. A panel of the U.S. vaccine experts recommended that COVID shots be added to the list of recommended vaccinations for children and adults. And I wanted to get into FluStar and see if we can update this from today. And COVID, well, it seems to be lifting a little bit here in New England, and this is slightly better news, but it's still in the desert southwest and deep south. Cold and flu, however, not so much. So now we're not dealing with COVID as much, but they are seeing greater cases of COVID's new variant coming up. We'll get into that in a moment, but there's still a lot of COVID here in southern Florida and Louisiana. Coughing, obviously, all over the place here in the country, especially the southeast, and now it's stretching into the southern and northern mid-Atlantic area. Strep throat is rising as well throughout the central plains, the southern plains, and into the eastern United States. There's quite a lot of fever going on here in the southeastern United States, and the flu is again showing up here in the southeastern United States, and it's status quo. And one of the latest news stories from MSN coming out, the new study, the stealthy coronavirus variant is spreading fast, spooking scientists and Wall Street analysts. Oh, obviously, it would do that to anybody on Wall Street these days. But experts say there is a cause for optimism. Now, the XBB is a new version of the Omicron, and that is evading existing treatments and immunity, and it is spreading quickly in Singapore, and the virus watchers are worried it could spread into the U.S. BQ 1.1 is also emerging. Experts say prepare for more COVID infections this winter. Taking a look at the European model guidance is 500 millibar heights here from last night's run. This is a Rex block here off of the western United States coast, south of the Alaskan and the Aleutian Islands here. High pressure over low pressure off the coast of California here. That is a Rex block. Meanwhile, this is our southern branch of the jet stream here. This is our polar branch, and I wanted to step back here for just a moment. I wanted to overlay. Let's see if we can get this up here. Freshen this up. We can see this nicely on Earth nullschool.net. Here is our big blocking signature here out over the western United States and the Pacific. Here is our polar branch here, lifting up into Canada, and this feature is causing this branch here in the southern branch with this upper closed low here over Florida. So there's no amalgamation in these two streams at this point. A little bit more so probably as you get into Atlantic Canada, but this is a very convoluted situation. There's a lot of blocking here, and this is going to lead to more systems coming into the West Coast, as we can see here. As of Sunday morning, here comes the next area here. Close low here over the upper Midwest here, southwesterly flow aloft over the central and eastern United States, and that closed low that was over or offshore is now being embedded into this flow here in the northern branch, and the two branches kind of meet together. And in the southern branch, there's a lobe that drops down through Texas and Oklahoma. Meanwhile, the eastern United States begins to warm up, but again, everything is lifting north, but there is a lot of cutoff here, a lot of cutoff lows developing in this flow pattern here as we get into the next 10 days. And most of this will probably be centered over the upper Midwest and the central and southern plains, with each of these cutoff lows here breaking away from their branches. Over the next 7 days here, the next week ahead, temperatures are going to be above normal by 20 to 25 degrees across the upper Midwest, the central and southern plains, and a few degrees above normal here in the Northeast and the northern Mid-Atlantic area. Cooler still as of today across the Southeast by a few degrees, and much colder here in the Intermountain West and West Coast here with our new upper level low forming. As we head into Sunday, again, the same scenario, the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, Central Plains, those temperatures are going to be 15 to 20, 25 degrees above normal for this time of the year. And that cold air from the west now begins to extrapolate east and now covers most of the country you get into the Ohio River Valley area, where temperatures are still about 10 to 15, 20 degrees, 10, 15 degrees above normal. And it's really cooling down, and that cold air is spreading eastbound now as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. So the anomalies here and really cold air just really locks into the Intermountain West and the Central Plains here. But warm anomalies still continue basically east from Ohio to the East Coast. So let's go into New Jersey and show you the temperature anomalies. Today will be about 5, 6, 7 degrees above normal, about normal tomorrow with the cloud cover and the onshore flow developing in the afternoon. Temperatures on Monday about 5, 6, 7 degrees above normal. The further west you go into Pennsylvania, the warmer the air will be, apparently. And that will continue on Tuesday, Wednesday. We're above normal here Thursday and Friday of next week as well, above normal. Now, so what does that translate for your temperatures today? It translates them into the upper 60s to around 70 in the metro regions, and about the low to mid 60s tomorrow with cloud cover and a wind shift ahead of the rain. Upper 60s will do it for Monday, and then temperatures in the upper 60s to low and 70s on Tuesday, and temperatures either side of 70 to the lower 70s on Wednesday. Same thing for Thursday, and basically mid to upper 60s around the region again for Friday. So when we take a look at the temperature anomalies for the New Jersey area, we're several degrees above normal today. We'll be about even tomorrow, a few degrees above normal again on Monday, way above normal on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. And with our coastal low here, the greatest amounts of rainfall are probably going to be central and eastern Long Island up through interior Connecticut and Massachusetts, and we'll get into that, and just a couple of hundredths of an inch in showers here everywhere else. But we'll get into the model guidance in detection in just a moment. Take you into the brand new fresh 12Z model guidance from off the NAM. Here comes that low pressure system that was once off the coast of Florida, off of the eastern United States coast of New Jersey and Long Island and Connecticut. And notice the bands of precipitation really remain offshore. Central and eastern Long Island gets into some of this, also into Rhode Island and portions of the northeast area here as we get into tomorrow. And then a couple of bands of moderate to heavy rain get in here around the New York City metropolitan area into Connecticut as we head into Sunday night and Monday morning, and just a few showers here over the northern interior sections. A couple of these could be some brief heavy downpours, but If we looked at the total amount of precipitation, the NAM is showing here, it's the greatest out over the ocean, and the contributions here over the inland areas are very slight. Probably could dial this back and go into New Jersey. And if we looked at the next 60 hours here, the heaviest precipitation is obviously going to fall across Connecticut, in central and eastern Long Island. Very little here across New York City and into interior northern New Jersey, and very little, by the way. Yeah, and we're still in a drought. Remember Hurricane Roslyn here. This is the latest European 6-hour precipitation, dominant precipitation type for the next 10 days. Roslyn goes on shore as a hurricane, becomes a depression, and then a tropical storm, and then a depression as it rains out itself over portions of Mexico. Meanwhile, over the upper Midwest, we have the first wave of low pressure, which is bringing snow and ice and rain across the Colorado Rockies. That lifts northeast, but here comes the remnants of Roslyn, and Roslyn gets into the Midwest. Strong high pressure off of the East Coast. We'll get into that in a moment. Let's look back and dial this back. We got high pressure off the coast, northern New England, and a wind flow flux coming in from off the ocean on an easterly fetch, and then eventually a northeasterly fetch. So that's going to bring some rain, but not a lot. And then that goes out. But this looks interesting because, again, by the time we get into Tuesday, the remnants of what was Roslyn is now involved in the southern branch of the jet stream across the Central Plains. So it could be some heavy rain and thunder in this area in the Central Plains, but that lifts north, and look what's coming in from off the ocean again, around high pressure. Low pressure again coming in from off of the coastlines here of New Jersey into Long Island and northeastern Connecticut and Maine. But the amalgamation or the marriage of these is basically too far removed from the forecast, so it doesn't look like a lot of precipitation there either as we head into the midweek period, just scattered showers. But if you're east of this area or west of this area, that is where the main lobes of precipitation are going to be. And in the next 10 days, getting into, I don't know, Saturday night, Sunday, October 31st here. Again, strong high pressure off of the New England coast, and east wind coming on off of the ocean. And here comes the rain through the Delmarva area. And this could be a little bit more potent across the area, especially as you head through central and southern New Jersey. If this is correct, then that means that much more rain is on the way in the drought-needed areas here. We'll keep you posted. That is the edition for this Saturday. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith for Garden State Weather Premium on YouTube and Garden State WEA on Twitter.